Yeah. So thanks, Emmanuel. I picked it because every time of year, this time of year, I do enjoy watching many Christmas movies. It's just our routine. Um, and I did want to think of one that was like a classic and that I do guarantee to watch every year, and this is one of them. And I've watched it, I've watched it since I was a little kid, and I did want to kind of see what it was like to watch it with a different, set of like a more critical eye because it gets to a point when you watch a movie and over again you kind of just I just don't really truly watch it anymore. It's just like half focus, right? So it was interesting. It was fun to watch it again with different goal in mind. And yeah, and I want to hear what everybody thought of it. And I was pretty sure most people had seen it. But yeah, always a chance that somebody hasn't. You never know with these things. And I knew there was some things I was just definitely gonna like appreciate no matter what. And with the cast and Catherine O'Hara and like the cameo with like John Candy um and Ben pointed out that made a really good point is the score, the music by John Williams. Um, but yeah, my the this time going around, I definitely did notice some things that I thought could have been better. But yeah, but I still very much enjoyed it, obviously. But yeah, that's I think that's basically why I picked it. Yeah. Yeah, so I hope some people enjoyed it. I didn't look at all the scores yet, but yeah, that's it for that.
I was trying not to be
Good,
the
good.
first to say something. You all break me. Yeah, I was thinking because I've seen this so many times. But it's that thing that you said before of like when it's in film club, you kind of watch it with a different eye. Um, so it's kind of interesting. Like I was thinking, it's sort of another one where it's like it's a bit like Gremlins, where it's a Steven Spielberg film, but it's just that somebody who he mentored got there first, kind of thing. I didn't realise that John Hughes wrote it, so that was kind of interesting. And then the bit with the I completely forgot there was a cameo from John Candy as well. So because this is the first time I kind of watched it, knowing that John Hughes had wrote it, I was watching the John Candy cameo, thinking like this could have easily been a deleted scene from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like it's yeah, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's an interesting one, isn't it? Like it's kind of a weird one because it's kind of like that sort of like real life cartoon territory, but it's hard to kind of like gauge how much I think. It kind of like flicks between being quite real and very cartoon, but there were some bits that really got me this time, like at the very start where I think it's the uncle. He kind of like comes out of the table really fast, so like he squashes the kid against the wall with the back of his chair, and just things like that. It's like things that I don't know. It's like it's kind of like watching it with fresh eyes, but yeah. I think I don't, it's a really hard one to kind of to talk about critically because it's like it's always been there kind of thing. So it's a bit of a weird one. I did find myself this time at the start with Kevin's family. I don't know why, but like this time in particular, I was going like, "You bunch of pricks! Like he's better off without you." And then when the mum came back, I was kind of going like, "Oh, hang on, no, you've got no right for a big return. Like, you left your son after being a dickhead to him."
Rob was watching it like a social worker the whole way through. Like the first 5 minutes, I had to pause it and be like, "Okay, just get the commentary out of the way," and then we can watch it in silence.
It was that bit where his mum's like, "Oh, if you mean that, say it again." I was like, "I fucking would."
Yeah, you don't blame him at all, poor Kevin.
No.
Yeah. I think that was the trouble. I think Rob's right. It's a weird one to kind of, because it's kind of a film of two halves in a way, and I do really love this film, but at the same time, I never I grew up with it properly like I did. Probably you did, Corey. Like versus like Gremlins for me was the one I grew up since I was like 7 or 8, and I watched it. I saw a bit later when I was about 13, 14. So I didn't quite have. I know that's only a few years difference, but it didn't quite land as much for me. And then watching it again for about the third or fourth time now, it's kind of like you kind of like watch it differently in the more the vein of an adult's eye. You just like because it's so the extremes of this film is so kind of like stark and apparent. It's like Kevin's family are actually horrible to him at the beginning. It's like we've all said before. It's just like they're really nasty and horrible, and you don't blame him one bit for being completely disfranchised by his family because they're just awful to him. And every single one of his brothers and sisters, and his mom and his dad and his uncle, they're all just like dismissive. And so I think that's the thing that gets me, which is negative in terms of the story, is that they wouldn't all be like that. Maybe one or two. Maybe like the older brother, what's his face, the bully guy. He it makes sense that he's the one that's going to be bullying him left, right, and centre, and he's always going to be consistently just a bit of a dick. And the uncle, maybe because he's just a whole piece of work and just a very problematic character from nowadays as well. But like, yeah, those parts of it, it's kind of like Hughes did a good job, but at the same time, did a bit too much of like there's a bit more. It's just too black and white for me. There's not enough grey there. There's the family is so like against Kevin, and then when they lose him, they suddenly turn completely saint-like, and just especially the mum is like there's a complete 180, and just like everything's fine. So that is a issue I have with the story that I'll probably get more into it later. But overall, I think Kevin as a character is wonderful. His ingenuity and his like charm and sweetness all the way through is just captivating and just like full of like the Christmas spirit, and that kind of gives the Christmassy vibe to it all. And but yeah, it's kind of like the first like literally I suppose the 2/3 of the film is quite a straight up kind of like Christmas drama. And it's only the final act, the final third of the film, which becomes a slapstick, kind of like Itchy and Scratchy, Tom and Jerry, kind of like madness, Three Stooges type thing. That's when it literally goes balls to the wall, stupid and silly. And I love it for that because it's so goddamn entertaining and just balls to the wall, just amazing. But at the same time, it's a very, very sudden turn, even though it's very well kind of like choreographed and what's the word? Everything leading up to it makes sense, and for the most part, give or take a few things. But yeah, it's a weird film because it's kind of like the child in you just loves that side of it, and the adult in you is like, yeah, this is silly and stupid, but really, it's a very different film. It's very unlike a John Hughes type of production than you expect. I suppose it's the melting pot of just like Chris Columbus, John Hughes, and Steven Spielberg all rolled into one. But I suppose it is still lightning in the bottle as well. It's just kind of like no other film would come out like this in that time, and it would set the world alight, and everyone just went to see it because it was the film of the year that you had to see. It was just like one that everyone and their mom would want to see. I think I had the stories about it being one of the first films you could get on VHS videotape in a supermarket. No other film was actually available in a supermarket before. They were only in like Blockbusters or some video rental stores, but it was one of the first films after like Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom where you could buy the videotape in just a normal grocery store, just across on the counter, and that was just like, and it was a stupidly low price as well. Like videotapes were like back then were like equivalent of like $50, like, and this was reduced to $19.99, and nowadays that would be like a videotape going for like I don't know, $5.99 or something, or equivalent of a Blu-ray 4K going for £5 or something. But yeah, it was just like a huge thing, and that kind of upheld it to being so popular. And it's the film everyone in the school playground would have to see when you were 10 years old. This is the film you had to see in January because it just came out, and you had to. Everyone would be talking about it in the playground, and yeah, that's why it's a huge success, because it's just it just built and built on it. Because I think also one last thing is just that it didn't have a big opening weekend. It was very moderate, and just the word of mouth kept getting bigger and bigger, and then it was just like, yeah, it's 20th Century Fox were like, yeah, let's just put it in all the shops so everyone can buy it when it's on video, and that's just created the legacy it has, because it was the first of its kind to kind of like propel itself to like the video rental market. Like films are commonplace now, you can buy them anywhere, so yeah, it was the first to do it, so yeah.
I
It's
was
good.
thinking though. I don't think it's a. I don't think it's a coincidence that it was as big as it was. Because watching it this time, I was thinking like the story is kind of written in the same way that like a wrestling rivalry is written, and it's kind of like it doesn't always make sense. But somebody's got a problem with someone else, and they're not stopping at anything. Like, and it's
Yeah, it has
and
this
then it
whole
ends with a
build-up.
big fight. Like it's sort of, and then,
Yeah,
and
it's
when
just
it came.
this thing.
And then when it came out as well, like it was at the time where like wrestling was booming as well. So like something at the time was drawing people to this kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, it's got the inevitable showdown to it. I think that's what's good about having Joe Pesci's character it's appear in the beginning as the police cop in disguise. Just right in the beginning, you know that he's the antagonist with the shiny tooth, and it's like, oh, Kevin's going to remember this. He just comes back when they're chasing him in the car or just following him around. It's just all this build up, and then eventually when it happens, it's just pure chaos, like a wrestling match, right? It just builds and builds and builds until this crazy showdown that is just batshit insane, but you're just kind of like compelled to see how it ends.
yeah.
So yeah, that's the props to the film in a way. Yeah, who next? Rachel, Pat, Alec, Emmanuel, Simon, Alec,
Go on.
Alex and Mutu to go, Alex.
Yeah. Go.
Okay. Yeah, I also kind of grew up with this movie, but yeah, didn't have I didn't have a like optimistic view about how this was gonna score with me, because obviously it's for it's all for the slapstick is part of the fun, but it's not necessarily. I feel like after a certain point you kind of go, you know what? I just stepped on a spike with my bare foot, and I've got quite a lot of spinal damage. I've taken an iron to the head. I've had a BB pellet in my face. I might just go home. I might just leave it. Like, I just, I don't know. After a certain point, it's just kind of like, okay, I know we're just kind of doing it for the theatrics. So, like, we're just gonna do whatever. So, yeah, but yeah, I also struggle with the beginning. I think the biggest plot hole in the film is him looking at his family photo and going, "Yeah, my mum was right. I really do miss everyone." And I was like, "No, you don't. You definitely don't." Buzz purposefully ate the only pizza you could eat. Your mum and your dad both went, "Yeah, Buzz was in the right there. It was all Kevin." And then his other siblings called him a disease, les incompetents, and a fucking idiot. I was like, you don't miss any of these people. But you can't convince me you do. So, yeah, and then Catherine O'Hara is on the one woman mission to make it everyone else's fucking problem. And it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe she went and checked the plane. And I love the bit when she's like, "Do you think we're a bit of a heel? Like, being in first class while our kids are in coach." And I'm like, yes, you are a bit of a fucking heel, actually. You just dumped 11 fucking children into economy class for everyone else to fucking deal with while you go and get boozed up. You yeah, you are a bit heelish, actually.
I would have done the same.
Well, I thought you loved kids that. He's like, "Nope." Oh, can I just say one thing before you move on? Actually, anyone else think it's weird that they kind of like dressed up the house in this beautiful like Christmas decorations with the tree and everything, and all to literally leave on holiday and just like, yep, we're just gonna make this house wonderful and we're gonna go away.
Yeah, that was a
abroad.
weird thing with the
That's
neighbourhood,
perfect.
though.
I can't wait to not look at this while I'm in Paris.
Yeah.
That whole road was like it though, because you know the bit where they're like timing when the lights are gonna come on.
Oh, yeah, true,
It's
yeah.
like nobody's
Everyone
here to benefit from any of this.
Yeah,
It
no
makes
one's
it does make sense.
Also,
Obviously, it ended up being a target of a robbery, but I think that was what they were trying to avoid. So it made it look like they were at home.
yeah.
So like, just deck the place out, have the lights
No,
come on.
enough.
I understand it to a point because like when we go away on holiday, like we always leave the lights on, like just to give a feeling that someone's home.
We've got a timer on here. Yeah.
I think they could have made that point a bit though, because you know the bit where the brother's like, "Oh, we live in the most boring street in America." Like,
Yeah.
if you'd have made reference to it being a dangerous road, I'd have been like, okay, I get why they're doing it. Like,
Yeah, if it was like Crime Alley or something, it's just, but it's just like there, really, isn't it?
But no, I think.
I mean, to be fair, it is Crime Alley because I don't know what Mr. McAllister does, but that house and fucking 5 kids, and he's got them all first class flight tickets. What? And he's paying for his brother and his family as well. What is that man doing? Like, what is his profession?
But I personally think that Catherine O'Hara is a full-time job as well. I think they both have to be literally like stupid money to be able to get that. It's not just him.
They gotta be like,
yeah. Ben, you had that funny meme, right? Like no woman has like that many pantsuits and not have like an executive job or something. Like
One thing I was surprised by though is like inflation really hasn't touched pizza.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like $120 for 10
like,
pizzas, and I was like, yeah, that checks out.
That was exactly what Alley out. That was a lot of pizza.
I was like,
what?
I thought I'd get 3 Dominoes for that.
I
Yeah,
did
one
like,
thing that
Oh yeah, go ahead, Miana.
I was gonna say one thing that kind of struck me as weird about the whole kind of street they live on and whatnot. So it gave the impression that they're in a good part of the neighborhood, like a real good part. Like many well-off, more on the rich side live there, which it can be a target for criminals and whatnot. But on the flip side, usually the local police, when one of the people in that area, and maybe not so much now, but back then when this film was made, since community and different things are so important, the police usually went, "Oh yeah, we'll okay, you live, okay, yeah, we're going to take this seriously." And if they was just like they said, the kids is here alone, they wouldn't just knock and then leave. They would assume that, crap, what happened to the kid? Maybe something happened to the kid. We need to go inside and like take him to hospital or something. They would assume he ingested some poison or something like on accident. Like in a richer part of the neighborhood, that might be how they act somewhere else, but not there. So it feels weird to see that and go, wait, why aren't they doing what they usually would have done in real life?
I mean, Emmanuel, admittedly speaking, though, these police officers in this film were like the worst, like stereotypical, like incompetent police. They were literally just answering the phones and eating donuts. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, maybe these aren't like the best sort of police officers, to be honest, because they were literally. She was literally just going, all right, let me put you on hold. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, it's family affairs. It's you. It's you. I was like, oh, okay. And he's eating the donut. He's like, family affairs, how can I help you? And it's just like, yeah, these police officers are like the worst type of police officers. And like, the police officer that eventually does go over, knocks on the door like 3 times and goes, to tell them to count the kids again. All right, there's a 10-4. And it's just like, wow, these are just terrible, terrible police officers. They just couldn't be helped.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but and I agree with you, Simon. I was just the thing is with the ones who answer the phone. I'm not surprised by that. Obviously, it's a comedy as well, so it's got that kind of element. But I kind of assumed in my head. Again, I'm not trying to make it too much realistic because it is a comedy and you've got slapstick and different stuff in there. But I think I was kind of taken out of it because the local police on the beat, like that police officer who's in that area would be someone who usually patrols that area, who knows all the people and knows most of the families, especially if it's one of those very rich areas. So it didn't make sense that he acted the way he did, the local police officer who knocked on the door. I was
That's
just
a
like,
good point.
okay.
Yeah. That's a good point. I actually like it always bothered me that the police officer who was knocking just didn't do a very good job. But as I've gotten older, I've heard so many stories of police just not doing a very good job. But then I did there was something else I watched separately that like a Netflix documentary that did have as part of the story, like in a more affluent area, people get better treatment by the local police. And so it's just like, that's a very good point that like, I think in their situation, their neighborhood, it didn't really fully make sense. And now I'm frustrated again because it's frustrating to see him just like, that's just not, you don't know, like, yeah, of course he didn't answer the door. Like, we're just like, he doesn't know who's at the door. So yeah, that is a frustrating point for sure. And one other thing I did want to say that's like kind of like jumping back to like something Alec, you had mentioned your frustration with the mom making it everybody else's problem of her coming back home. I actually as imposing as she was on other people, and it wasn't their problem, it did make me kind of reflect better on her for how like hard she was trying to get back, and it wasn't very great for the people that she was interacting with, but like in terms of just like her drive to get back, I wasn't impressed with the family at all, and that kind of just like elevated her a little bit in my eyes.
Yeah, I was being a bit flippant on that one, but yeah, she just I'll just spend most of it going like, I fucking hate the McAllisters. Bunch of assholes.
Yeah, I was trying to like me and my mom were talking about, yeah, like wow, they really all crap on him, and I felt bad for Kevin, and but like I've been around kids, and so I know that like I could kind of understand like a young kid can be like a handful, and like maybe they're unfairly just like all taking it out. Like that's the responsibility you have, right? To have like more patience and stuff like that. Yeah. And there's more that I want to talk about how it all ends too. It's just like something didn't really sit right with me, but I guess I could touch on that later. But yeah, that was frustrating. You know what really bugs me is that like that Uncle Frank never gets any kind of like payment for whatever. Like he was the worst of the worst, man. He was awful.
Oh yeah, Uncle Frank is a piece of shit. He's the worst guy ever.
That bit when he comes in with the shrimp platter and he's like, "Hey, look what I found," and his brother's wife's like, "Those are for later," and he goes, and he just starts handing them out, and I'm like, "You cunt! You definitely heard her."
Yeah.
Oh,
he calls Kevin a jerk as well, which is really horrible to call a kid.
Among other crimes, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like worse is definitely when the mother actually remembers that Kevin's at home, and he's like, you know what? It's not as bad. I also forgot my glasses. And the other adults look at him like he's the worst piece of shit. And he's like, yeah, you are the worst piece of shit. And it's like, let's look at him like, you fucking, you. And it's like, he didn't want to start a fight on the plane. But like, you fucking cunt. It's just like, oh my god. So I would quickly just do my opening thoughts. I think myself and Pat would agree that we probably watched Die Hard more as the Christmas movie, and also I feel like it is definitely that I've watched Home Alone 2 more than I've watched Home Alone 1. It's because I saw that it was like the traps at the end. I was thinking, wait, Joe Pesci has his head on fire? I thought it explodes. Nope, that's Home Alone 2. That's Home Alone 2. Alright, I was like, oh, right. I was like, yeah, there was like, oh, right, yeah. There was a bit of a mix-up on my end. There's like some Mandela effects, essentially. But it's like, yeah, this film is, it's more fun than I remember it being. It starts off quite cartoony, to be honest, right? Even though you guys say it's like the ending is quite cartoony. It starts cartoony the moment Joe Pesci smiles. I see his glimmer of a golden tooth. That's when you go, oh, okay, this is, you kind of know what this is gonna be like when that's happened. It's like, oh, okay. But it's like, seeing it now is like, oh yeah, it's quite funny. So there are still certain like story bits that are like, I'm not sure if that makes sense that like even for like a comedy film. So it's kind of like, I don't know about it. It just seems off. But generally speaking, it's still quite a nice film. It has, I say it has, but I feel like it has the point of the moral trying to be, family's important, even if they're kind of like a bit shit to you. But it's kind of like, they were really shit to Kevin, to be honest. And like, I think watching it now, I think the reason why it started kind of bad for Kevin is because he's the youngest in this family. But because the cousins come over, he becomes a middle child. And it becomes a thing of like, oh, he would have like middle child syndrome because they were planning for him to share the bed with the younger cousin who was going to wet the bed. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And it's kind of like, oh, so he becomes middle child syndrome. So it's kind of like, oh, I get it, because he's used to being the youngest. Now he's the middle child, and he's got like a whole like another set of problems there. But it's just like he acts out. Of course, he's gonna act out. He's 8. It's what kids do. Kids can be a bit annoying, but that's what you as competent. Well, you're supposed to be competent adults are supposed to be able to take care of it, and not like send him to bed with not like eating. It's kind of like it's like there's so much there, and it's like so much to go. Social services would have a few questions with you one day, but it's like but like it's a 90s movie, so it's kind of the way it was.
Yeah, just on what you said about the whole message of like family being important, like that. That was one thing for me, because I was kind of going like, I don't know, man. Like sometimes it's all right not to talk to Uncle Frank. Like it's.
Yeah. That's absolutely true.
To do my opening statement, I don't know if I said anything last week. I don't think I probably did, besides saying some stuff to Camilla. But I knew that I was going to be worried most of the time for the kid, even though I know, like, he's going to be fine. It's that feeling of, oh my goodness, like, I know what's going to happen, but still, there's 2 full-grown men, robbers, trying to break into the house. This kid's all by himself trying to stop them. And things happen in real life. And unfortunate things happen. And it's just like, this is messed up. But this is also... I don't know. I'm not having the best time. Like, I'm worrying for the kid. And I think while I was younger, I think I got a lot of this kind of scary element side of it as well. I don't think I enjoyed it that much. I was glad when he managed to fend off the robbers and all this stuff, and actually was saved in the end. But I didn't come away thinking, oh yeah, let's watch it again. I was just like, man, I'm so glad he made it out of that. That would have been so scary. I wouldn't want to go through that. I couldn't do half the stuff he did. He was so smart. and my adult brain is going, I know he's a kid, but I'm just hoping just thinking the whole time, kid, just run to a police station, say no one's like run to some adults and tell them what's going on, so someone can come and just like even when he was going to the shop, just like just tell her, just I know you're not, but just tell her, so you can be safe, you know. And like even the old guy who came in and saved the day at the end. He cleaned up a lot of the house. I wonder what the brother's room looked like, Buzz's room looked like. But he cleaned up most of the house and whatnot. And then he just went home. And I was just like, wait, why aren't you still in the house? Do you know when the parents are coming home? Why are you not there? Like, he's a kid. You trust kids not to do something and accidentally harm themselves? I mean, like he's been a parent, so I'm very confused. It might have been many years ago. Anyway, point is, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get why it's enjoyable. I just knew personally I'll be like, I'm too worried for the kid.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Like, you know, when the older man and Kevin are talking in the church, and that's actually one conversation that kind of confused me because, like, when the older guy said, when they're saying goodbye, he said, like, you think about what I said, and I couldn't figure out, like, of that conversation, it really sounded like more like Kevin was giving advice to the older guy, you know. So I actually didn't fully understand like what he meant by that, and also and like since the old guy comes in and pops in to save Kevin, like was he did the older guy know that Kevin was like on his own and he was keeping an eye on him? Because I don't really fully understand how he managed to come in at the perfect time like that.
The bit where he
Uh,
sees him in the shop, and Kevin's already screamed in his face at this point, and the guy just goes like, "Yep," and he just walks straight over Kevin, and he puts his big bloody hand on the desk, and he just looks at him like, I was just like, man, no wonder he's fucking scared of you. You're not exactly doing anything to help this, are you?
yeah.
All right, I'm
To
nice.
answer your to answer your question, Corey, I agree with you, Alec, completely. It was a very cartoonish kind of, it just overly kind of, yes, I would just stare at you and not say anything. But suddenly I'm in church and I'm gonna talk up because I'm in a a place where people are really nice and repent and all sorts of stuff. I don't know. But to answer your question, it's never explained. I don't think it's ever explained properly why. But I guess, yeah, he lives alone. He's a lonely guy, and I guess part of his way of feeling like giving back to the community or making amends or different things, he goes out every day or every night, pretty much, to kind of salt the roads to make the area better for everyone else, even though he doesn't have to. And I think in his rounds, he noticed some noise and stuff going on in that house that's meant to be empty. So he went in to check because he wanted to he wants to help people and kind of be a better person, especially since he's kind of left his son and his son's family like he told it to the kid. And then by
The
coincidence,
kid. What are you doing?
he comes in at the right time. Yeah, he comes in, it's like, oh, and obviously knocks him out. That was my kind of understanding of it.
Like practically wise as well, because this wasn't the actual McAllister house. This was the other house, right? The one that they already flooded already. So like, I'm pretty sure he was just he was doing the rounds of like sorting the ground and like shoveling snow. Saw that the house was open. Heard like lots of like flooding water because that basement was like completely flooded. To be honest, I was like, oh. Wait, why is the house flooded? Did they leave the tap on? You know, probably saw, like, oh, there's two guys hanging Kevin up. I was like, I think I should probably do something about it. It's like, you know, it's like coincidentally, it's very much coincidence and, coincidence that he was just passing by at the right time. And, like, you could say it could be, like, multiple things, but it's like, I think practically it's because he's heard, like, the gushing amount of water that filled up the basement. I just went to investigate to see what's wrong, and that's why he saw it. But like, it doesn't need to be fully explained. I guess more like a children's movie. But it's like, I guess that's about it. You know, he was around because he makes his rounds around that area.
Yeah. Also, one thing to add to what you guys are saying, I think, for my interpretation of what the film is, especially because it's entirely in Kevin's point of view, you're seeing everything heightened to a degree. I think this is the way it kind of makes more sense in my head, is that the reason why everyone's so horrible and nasty to him, it's all in his POV. It's not how they are kind of in real life. And that's why the old man, I call him Old Man Humphrey, what's his name? Old Man Humphrey is so scary because he's got this image of him by his brother, just saying he's this guy that's murdered like all these people in the street, blah 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 blah. So he's just thinking he's the worst of the worst. So obviously when he sees him in the store, he's just this scary motherfucker. He's just like after him, and this is like it's scary and horrible and whatever. And so Kevin is just seeing everything as a kid would, just saying things like, this isn't how it is in real life, but I think you're the worst thing that ever is. It's like when you're a kid, you think time is like going so slowly and everything is so much worse than it actually is happening to you, when in fact it's just kind of like the norm. But for him, Kevin, it's just like, this is, everything's at stake. That's why he's so like paranoid and suddenly scared about protecting the house, and why he's so terrified of the burglars and Old Man Humphrey. So it's just one of those things that come together as just like poor little Kevin is just that he's just 8-year-old. He's an 8-year-old kid. This is what's going through his mind, and this film is like interpretation of what he's experiencing, and so the wacky, over the top kind of like childishness is kind of what's in his mind of how he's going to get these guys. So in the real life, the real version of Home Alone probably will be a hell of a lot dialed down, and everything isn't as fantastical and stuff like that. So that's kind of like how it logically makes sense in my head, how this film kind of works for me, because it kind of like, this is just a kid's point of view of the entire situation and how he deals with it. So that's kind of like, it ties up all the loose ends. I know it's kind of like a catch-22 thing, but it's just one of those things that kind of like, it makes sense how things are resolved so quickly, how he can get the comeuppance of those guys, the robbers of Wet Bandits so well, because just as a kid you feel like you're invincible and you're just recreating a fantasy of something you've seen on TV, and TV is basically his kind of like, in my opinion, is like that's what is his what brought him up. Not his parents, not Catherine O'Hara. It's that TV is what kind of made him the boy he is, because he's just left alone watching TV when everyone else is doing their thing, and when his parents are too busy doing this and that, he's just left alone, just watching whatever films on, and that's kind of like his kind of like education in a sense. So he's learning everything from what he's viewed on TV. And that's kind of like what's kind of like turned his his mind into kind of like, yeah, this is how I'm going to get rid of the robbers. This is how I'm going to do this and that. It's just kind of like how I experienced watching television because, yeah, my parents didn't bring me up, but television did. So that's kind of like his thing. Yeah.
Going back to what you said of like, sorry, did Alec, did you say something? Was that, I heard somebody say something? No? Okay,
Not
sorry.
me.
Okay. That was a really like light bulb moment for me when I think Alec, when you were talking about when the old man's putting his bloody hand down on the counter and he's like glaring down at Kevin, and that was really exaggerated, and it actually made me think that yeah, that would be maybe how a kid interprets that moment with that older guy, because yeah, he does have all this like scary stories in his head from his older brother, and you're as a little kid, like life is different, like life seems a bit more exaggerated, and seeing things that maybe not aren't necessarily the case. And now that I think of it, yeah, like like how we all see that family being like big jerks to Kevin, and he's like the one that's hard done by, and like it's all unfair, and that would be again like how a kid might feel how a situation is like he's it's not nothing is his fault, and it's everybody else's fault, and so I just think now like more things are making sense to me of just like yeah, we are seeing a reality that's skewed by like the view of like an 8-year-old. It's just like I wonder if they could have done that a bit more consistently and made it a bit more obvious that we're seeing it through the lens of like an 8-year-old, and it's not just because it kind of over throughout the whole movie, it kind of just like bounces back and forth between like actual real reality where it's not through the lens of Kevin. And it's just like I think maybe it could have just been done a bit more stylized differently. I think they did that with the bloody hand scene. It was like, from below, and with scary music and all that stuff. So yeah, that was interesting. Really, that actually changes a lot for me to think of it as a lot of the movie being from skewed by Kevin's point of view. That helps a lot.
Yeah, I think like because the thing that I didn't really I was kind of because I was saying like it's kind of like paced like a wrestling rivalry. Like the thing I couldn't quite get was why the two criminals cared so much about one upping him. So I was kind of and there were so many points where I was going like that. Like when they're kind of working out what's going on, I was going, but that's such an unlikely thing to happen. But you've got it like bang on, and it's like, and you keep getting it bang on, but it's just like why is your mind going to that, and how is that the thing that's actually happening? And then it just keeps going, and it's kind of like, but if you're like a career criminal, there's so many options on this street for you to get like a massive payout. Like what's in this house that you need to one up this kid? And I kept sort of thinking along those lines. But if you are supposed to see it through the eyes of Kevin, it makes complete sense. But yeah, like you, Corey, I kind of wish it was more sort of there was more of a nod to it.
Yeah, I
think they
did
did.
think that the house on that block was like they called it the Silver Tuna, right? It was like maybe one of the richest houses on the block, they figure.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
And also,
I can't.
sorry.
Oh, okay.
Actually, my
Oh,
thought
what you
wasn't
was gonna
fulfilled
say?
anyway. You could go ahead.
I was trying to unmute myself, and I was struggling. It wouldn't unmute, so I think I've partially forgot what I was gonna say. But I think it is one of those kind of. It is cartoonish, and also because it's cartoonish, instead of being like actual real criminals, where it's just like they've had a few too many times where like there's been maybe some people in the house when there shouldn't have been people. You know what? It's not worth it. Let's just get the stuff we've got and go. And if it is like a more affluent neighborhood, you know, we don't want to be caught by any weird cops or whatever. Let's just get out of Dodge. But yeah, they are typical kind of criminal villains. They want it all, and they all suffer from greed, the sin of greed, and want to take everything. So yeah, they will not leave without the biggest prize. But yeah,
And there's, we're talking
that's
about
all.
like, oh, sorry.
Oh no, go.
Oh yeah, we were talking about like incompetent police, and like there are definitely incompetent criminals as well. And and that Marv guy
Oh
definitely seems
yeah.
to be up there, like not really,
Oh man.
part of his, like, he wasn't just in it for like gain, like financial gain. He was also in it just to like mess with people, right? With the whole like letting. So
Yeah. Wet. What they called? What
Wet
did he call
Bandit.
themselves?
Yeah, the Wet Bandits.
Yeah. He's like,
Did you
oh man,
just watch
shut up.
this?
That's their
Has
calling
everybody
card.
Yeah, but they're not people I wish to remember.
Has everybody seen the second one?
Well
Because
said.
he
No.
comes up with another set of these. They're different bandits in the next one.
Oh man. I don't I've watched, I think I've watched like, is it up to 3? But I don't
There's
really remember.
like
I think
the
there's
third
more than
one has
that.
the third one has a different cast. The second one has the same cast. I've never seen the third one, and there might even be a fourth one. Like I think it's one of
Yeah.
those like franchises that got carried away.
Yeah, but
Can I
I
just say
don't really.
I wasn't aware of Home Alone 3, really, but someone just made me aware of the plot. I will just read you the first paragraph of the plot for Home Alone 3. In
Oh
January,
crap!
these three internationally wanted criminals working for a Hong Kong-based terrorist organization linked to North Korea steal a $10 million missile cloaking microchip in Silicon Valley, hiding it in a remote-controlled toy car to get the chip past security at San Francisco International
Yes.
Airport. A passenger named Mrs. Hess inadvertently takes the criminal's bag containing the car, mistaking it for her identical bag. The criminals arrive in Chicago and systematically search every house in Hess's suburban neighborhood to find the chip. 8-year-old Alex Pruitt is given the toy car by Hess as payment for shoveling her driveway.
So is this Die Hard 3?
Oh man.
$10 million
But yeah.
missile cloaking microchip.
Oh man, Home Alone
I
4
mean,
looks mad
Yeah,
though.
it was the Hong Kong working for the South of the Korean government terrorist group that I got like confused by. I was like, that's just like you're just mixing up countries. I don't think you know which one you're talking about. I don't know. I was like, just I don't know. I gotta find
Oh,
a
man.
Hong Kong-based Korean terrorist group nowadays. What the fuck?
There's more than 4
Uh,
as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I remember 3 now because I was looking at the trailer like while you was talking, Alec, and I was just like, oh yeah, I remember this nonsense. This was crazy.
Yeah, this 6. Did I think I said about this like last week. There was like 6 Home Alone movies. Because like
Yeah.
they did 4, then they did like a remake 2.
Yeah,
So it's
Home
like
Alone Holiday Heist, and then after that is Home Sweet Home Alone.
That's even
Home
a Die
Sweet
Hard
Home
movie,
Alone.
imagine.
That was 2021, the last one.
Jeez.
So 2012 was the reboot, and then 2021 was the last one.
I guess it failed miserably.
Well, I've gone through most of my life avoiding it mostly. Because this one I've now only watched twice, and I haven't seen any of the others.
I've only ever seen the second
Oh
one.
man, I don't know.
Did somebody say there were 6 of them? Is that right? Or are there 4 or 6?
There's
Yeah.
only. I thought there was only 4 because it's on Disney Plus. but apparently the 6th.
6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The Home Sweet Home Alone should be on Disney Plus since it was made in partnership with them, like
Oh.
specifically.
Yep.
Unless they took it off, because it literally they did a Disney Plus day premiere. Like I think like that premieres earlier or something.
Oh no!
On Disney Plus?
I've got it right here. It's Home Sweet Home Alone is a Disney Plus original. That's probably why. That's like I guess that makes it a bit more complicated.
Oh, did they do what they did for what was that series? That kind of like Time Bandits. They literally did a remake of that, and it didn't do well, and they've removed it from Disney Plus entirely. So there's literally no way you can see it, which is, I think, the most bullshit thing in the world. Is that you can't buy the DVD, you can't buy the physical media of any kind, and you can't even buy the digital copy of it. They took it entirely down from the internet, so therefore it does not exist anywhere unless you ripped it yourself.
That's
So
the
I
thing.
think that's pretty shit. Even if it's a load of crap, it's still bad, I think.
It's the thing that annoys me because no matter how bad a film is, not films, but like it should still be there for people to watch, like because people did work on it, whether they worked hard enough to warrant it having a release or not. It's still their work. So
yeah, it's still it was a hard time.
Like
okay,
that we've all seen in the past, like that are just so bad you wonder why they made it, but still, this is still people's work.
Yeah.
So it should still be there to watch. Like, there's people that love watching this shit. Like, I mean, some of you guys like watching The Room. I think it should never. Like, it's out there.
Hang
I mean,
on. How many times have you watched Transformers? Don't be coming for The Room.
okay.
No, The Room is on a different level.
Yeah,
Room is on a different level. I'm sorry. It's a classic for a reason. It's a Disaster Artist was made for a reason.
Disaster Artist was even worse.
I'm just saying.
But basically, what I'm saying, and what Pat's saying as well, is that one man's trash is another man's treasure. So, regardless of what you think of whatever film in existence anywhere, should still be able to be seen. Even if it's your own hard money. If you're paying $9.99 to watch this awful piece of crap, that's your choice. But it should still be available to watch.
So now
yes.
So now saying that, I wouldn't be disappointed if they deleted Dragon Ball Evolution from everyone's memory.
Yeah, but some people work hard to make it. But don't forget about the poor, the poor people that were dragged to make that film happen. Even if it was a load of crap.
Would they want to be linked to it though?
You know what I mean? Like there's like a whole.
They probably take it off their TV.
Yeah, it's like.
But what if there was this like some caterer that was like, yeah, I was like serving a stew on Dragon Ball Evolution in the canteen. I'm really glad I had that film on my TV.
To be honest, I feel like everyone knows it existed.
Yeah, but it's like saying, oh yeah, I mean, I was the cameraman for Antichrist. It's sort of like, yeah, that's good. That's like a certain level of. There's a certain level of like how much you want to say you enjoyed working for a film, or how much anyone enjoys watching a film. So it's like,
that example, Antichrist was at least competently well made.
Yes.
So
it was. The cinematography was brilliant.
Yeah, so Dragon Ball Evolution. I can see Pat's point. Like, everything bad about it was like, but at the same time, it still shouldn't be deleted from history. This is a warning. How bad a film can be. This is what you should see. Don't make a film that's bad as this.
That film, I've got an image of like the editor of the film sat next to Akira Toriyama during the premiere, and he realizes he hasn't edited out the stunt strings, which you can see while watching it.
Oh Christ! I forgot about that. Actually, you made that somehow pop back into my head. I was like, oh yeah,
They didn't have the budget to remove all the.
Yeah, but that's like early martial art films have that stunt string stuff, and it's like you can like not blame them because like they didn't have computer CGI to remove that shit, but it's like because of when that shit was made, the Evolution was made, you have no excuse. Pretty much all of it was CGI, but they couldn't use CGI to clear up like the stunt stuff. Fucking nonsense. They just didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't give a fuck. There was a certain amount of fucks given. They were limited to give one fuck, and that's about it. They gave that's it. They kept the name Dragon Ball. That's it. That's the only fuck they gave.
Anyway, let's get back onto this film.
Now we're done talking about the worst films we've ever seen. Back to Home Alone.
Oh, it wasn't the worst.
Like I said, I previously only watched this one once when I was a kid. I didn't really like it when I was a kid. But watching it now, I can see why people enjoy it. It's actually quite fun. Like now that I've seen it again. But when I saw it the first time, I hadn't watched Die Hard, and I don't think I'd watched anything with Joe Pesci in. So I think it sort of I'm sort of being kinder on it now because what Alex said the other day, I think you can sort of see, like, if this was picked in the double bill with Die Hard, you could definitely see why. I sort of called it in the end like a PG Die Hard. With Joe Pesci being Alan Rickman, but a lot more slapstick. And like for a sort of a family-friendly action comedy, I guess I'd really refer it to. It's a like I was surprised how much more I enjoyed it in this watch because these sort of films now that I'm older I tend to cringe at a lot more. But I was sat there chilling and those bits that really made me laugh. The fact that Kevin's family are such dicks to him, and I was like, the way Kevin's acting, I could imagine Jackson acting this way when he's a little older.
I did think
it's just like normal kid stuff, isn't it? Like kids act up in any way that they think they can get away with. And I don't think the mum was that bad, considering like when you see what his uncle's like, his dad's nonplussed. His older brother is a typical older brother, just horrible to the sibling. So in my case, it's the other way around. My brother tried to kill me several times. There was one time I was just in my bedroom watching something on the TV. My brother decides to do a leg drop off the bed onto my back, and I went blue.
Oh,
No.
And I think like a year later, I had asthma, so I'm going to blame him for it. But no, I can. It's horrible the way Kevin was treated, but I thought it really worked well in terms of where the story was going to go. But it was how they reacted when they realised they'd left him behind. Like the mum was obviously mortified. The dad was like, fuck it, it's his problem, isn't it? We're going on holiday. And I can imagine like all his brothers and sisters are like, oh, why are we going home? Because we left him at home. So like, I thought the way they reacted, they left him was probably a lot worse than the way they were behaving to him in the first part of the film. At least that's how I viewed it.
Yeah, that was a bit mad that the dad was like, "Oh no, you don't. You can just like relax. Like we'll be back in 3 days." Like, so what? It's a long fucking time for an 8-year-old on his own.
Yeah, that's great. Just come back on Friday. Like, fucking really.
You think like an 8-year-old on their own in a big house, they fucking do anything. Like I'd just go back to what I was like when I was a kid, and whenever I was left alone, I'd get up to all sorts of mischief. And my mum had only gone to the shop for half hour, and I'd absolutely wrecked the place. So I don't know what he was expecting. Like, by all accounts, they didn't leave much food there, which is why he had to go out shopping. It's the fact that him being in the supermarket, sort of like a cool parent kind of thing, really made me laugh. But the interactions he had with Joe Pesci were golden. And the last sort of half hour when everything was going off, I really enjoyed that. That was, I suppose, the part of the film that I suppose everyone expected me to really get on with, is when it sort of all kicked off. Like one robber stepping on a nail, and yeah, it was mad. But no, I quite enjoyed it this time. I'm going to watch the second one. I'm not going to bother with the third or the fourth. I've heard that they're really bad and the casts are different, so I'm like, I can just pretend there's only 2 films.
Is the second one the one with Tim Curry?
I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, he
indeed.
works at the hotel. He's like one of the main antagonists, I guess you could say, aside from the robbers.
Hmm.
The only thing I know about it is that Donald Trump's in it,
He is.
because
Yeah.
I've seen the clip from the second one.
And Piers Morgan's.
Yeah.
You're really putting me off watching the second one.
Oh man.
Who's he?
I can't tolerate Piers Morgan.
He's the pigeon woman.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god. Very funny. Okay, he's not actually in there.
I see that meme all the time when Piers Morgan's saying something controversial on Twitter. Someone always posts that, and I can't. I walk straight into it.
Sorry. Wait. Did you just call the pigeon woman Piers Morgan? That's an insult to the pigeon woman. Come now. That's terrible.
What?
That is very rude to the pigeon woman.
They do look alike, to be fair.
That's fucking horrible.
Yeah, I just posted something in the chat.
Oh, what is it?
I've got
Oh
to
yeah,
say,
that's it. That's the
Yeah,
main.
'cause I'm curious.
looking at Macaulay Culkin now, he looks very different and very weird now than when he was a kid.
I mean, yeah, when he was a kid, he was like kind of like, everyone says he was an adorable kid, but now he's like, he's about our age, I guess, so he's like an adorable millennial. So I don't know what people expect. Anyway, some people think he would look the same when he was 8. I don't know. That's not how that works. That's definitely not how that works.
As they get older, they do keep some features the same, but he doesn't really look like the same person that's evolved from that. However old.
In the eyes, it's kind of, yeah. Some people change a lot when they get older.
I think I'll definitely say it's his side profile with the ears definitely fit absolutely the same. But it's like, I don't know. It's like just say about like with like young actors. You want to talk about like actors that have like really changed. You have to look at all the sort of like Lindsay Lohan and all them other like child actors that were like ruined by Disney. Those actors actually have changed a lot from when they were kids. That's
To be
like,
fair, Lindsay Lohan's changed so much because she's a meth addict.
well, she's actually clean now, so it's
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But it's like it
Christy,
took a while for her to get like her act together. But because she's clean now, there's no news about her because it's no longer like a hot gossip topic, and it's like, oh, I mean that's a good thing, I guess. But it's like, it just shows you like the way like Hollywood press is sometimes. It's like, oh look, someone's doing shit stuff. Let's film them. Oh no, she's turned her life around. Oh, that's boring. Forget about it.
That's the media in a nutshell, though. Like, it's even the same like in our media when it's covering like things like sports. Like, they don't care if you're doing well. It's when it's all falling apart that they're on top of it, making things worse. And it's the same with actors or just general people in the public eye.
That's true.
They build you up to then rip you to pieces.
The media is the worst. The worst. But like speaking of kid actors, I'm actually thinking it's really hard for me to score kid acting. That's really, and that it's kind of like makes it hard that like, I was talking about like I grew up with this movie and watching it as an adult now, like child acting is even harder to watch. And like especially for like he was a main character in this, so that actually made it harder for me to score the acting this time around.
Speaking of scoring, what's your scores, Alec?
Oh, I'm getting there. Sorry, I
I-
actually
I've
just finished it.
Been on for about nearly an hour waiting for your scores to come in. I don't expect
You're just getting refreshed.
I'm like, come on, score.
Oh, man.
God damn it, score!
Yeah.
When you were talking about the pigeon lady, and then sent that picture in the chat, I was just like, "Oh my goodness, he does look. They look so much alike." It looks like he's made up as the pigeon lady, but that reminds me that Buzz's girlfriend is the art director's son dressed up like a girl
Really?
because the director thought, which is too funny. Who thought to name him? I guess his parents were being smart, naming him Chris Columbus. I guess after Christopher Columbus. But anyway, the director thought it would be too cruel to make fun of a girl like that. So yeah,
just make her look like but was it the who was it again? You said the son of instead
it was the art director's son.
the director's son.
The art director is Dan Webster. Another classic surname.
That makes me feel a bit better about that, because I must admit, on that scene, I was thinking that poor girl.
Yeah, because woof. I was like, geez. That's how they justified it, because he or she was not a woman at all. It was just a little boy.
That does help a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's still the thing is, like, there's still kids that look like that, so it's still not the nicest.
I think.
And also, so
Go ahead.
Hmm.
You could go ahead.
Oh, you can comment on that. I was going to make a separate point.
Oh, I was gonna say I think they wouldn't make fun of. Actually, you never know these days. Still to this day, like looks are not, and respect about like people's appearance and stuff. It's still kind of bashed on. So it's like I actually don't think it would be much better today, even. But anyway, yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, true. What was I gonna say? What was it? Oh yeah. So the parents, even though obviously things were exaggerated and whatnot, I could imagine like people like that. Like there's some parents were, especially back at the time, and probably still now, that are like that, where while the script could have been written better, and the ending as well, like I'm sure I'll hear what problems you had with it as well, Corey, the ending. But it's, how do I put it? Sorry. You can truly see how they don't have the true appreciation until something bad happens about the kids, kind of thing. So the mom is like, oh, whatever, like saying this stuff to her son, not really caring. Obviously not. I mean, I assume they also have some kind of babysitter and whatnot, because it also seems like both of them don't really know their kid. It doesn't seem like they really know him or know what he's capable of. And it's like, it's like, this is that much of a surprise to you you had such of a bad image of him. I don't know, like were they not giving him the chance? What, because of the way they were, let's say the way they were kind of parenting or not parenting him, was he just acting out a lot? And because he wasn't having the interference, he was able to just be himself. I'm sure Rachel has plenty of commentary on this. That would be interesting to hear. But yeah, it's interesting kind of seeing how the mom was the only one that kind of realized some of the error of her ways and was just like, no, I have to get back now. And I have to make a way. Whereas everyone else is like, stuff happens. It's like, what do you mean? Stuff happens. We don't know what could happen to the kid. It's like, in the way, like even the family affairs guy, he was saying all this stuff, but obviously he's so used to all this stuff happening. He's just like, okay, what's happened? Which kind of messed up thing has happened, so we can, know what path to go down. Oh, no, he's just humming on. Okay, let me pass you back to the police. Because he's used to so much worse. But anyway, yeah.
I mean, I will have to say that they don't learn that lesson for a lot of it, because essentially the beginning of Home Alone 2 is them doing almost pretty much the same shit and going, oh no, we're late for the fucking plane again. And like, to a certain point, right, if this happened this one year, I would have definitely went, you know what, we're going to stay home for Christmas and not try to fly away because it was such a fucking hassle from last year. And then just look, I saw, and like beginning of Home Alone 2 is exactly the same. Power goes out, same shit happens, and it's just like, oh, Christ, you didn't learn anything from last year. You just have more toys to play with.
Yep.
And it's just, it's a problem for like, it's a whole problem for the whole. Yeah, he's just Kevin is he's got to be the same sort of Kevin he's going to be.
Emmanuel, you mentioned like the parents not really knowing what Kevin was capable of, and that was something that I did notice. Like in the very beginning of the movie, Kevin is overwhelmed by the idea that he might have to pack his own suitcase, and his mom knows that. And I think did they talk about it? Like eventually somebody tells him that somebody else is packing his suitcase for him. So like there is this this knowledge that like Kevin is really young and he still doesn't do things for himself. So I did understand why they're so surprised that Kevin like did shopping and did laundry, and I was surprised at myself. That's like really, really impressive for an 8-year-old. I did kind of think that like through the course of that time period that he kind of accelerated his like competency like really fast. But that was that was a bit unrealistic for me. But I do get the whole idea of just like being like tossed into this really unfamiliar situation, and you kind of rise to the challenge in some ways. So it kind of worked for me and kind of didn't. But it's just like
Fair point. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was very accelerated as well. But yeah, from that point.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention
I wonder.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I wonder if he just wasn't given the space. He just wasn't given a chance to, because of just there being so many kids. But that's a different kind of thing, kind of like cheaper by the dozen. But anyway, what was you going to say?
Oh, I just remembered something that I forgot to mention before when we were talking about it being through the lens of Kevin, a lot of the movie, and what kind of also what was an example of that is the furnace down in the basement. It like literally like talked. So that was a good
that's great.
Yeah, that was a perfect
I really
example
like that.
Seeing it from his point of view, because that's all fictitious and that's all in his head. Because it's something he's terrified of, and it's his fear. And then eventually, as he realizes his fear is just in his head, and he kind of surpasses it, and and it's like, yeah, this is just an old boiler thing. There's nothing to be afraid of. I can beat this fear, and therefore I can beat these the wet bandits. And yeah, so that's kind of the theme of the film, is just facing your fears and way.
Sorry, Pat. We just hit your TV.
Oh, what if he stepped away?
I mean, like I think I hear Pat's TV a little bit still, but it's like, is he around, or is he like lagged out?
He might be on the toilet. You never know.
Alright, let's actually. And I do need to ask. I've always wanted to know, as like urban universe, for Kevin's like booby traps, what do you think is like his most ingenious? Because like as a kid, I don't think I was ever that creative to make, to make
You
any of
never
those.
that great at creating fucking traps inside your house.
I mean, like I have left
That's
like
the point.
those like toys on the floor before, and I have like had someone nearly slip. So
Yeah,
that's one
that's
thing. Yeah.
realistic. But the bit I thought was really ingenious that kind of like blew my mind is when he's using that like basically that distraction with like the shadow puppets with the mannequins, and using the levers and the ropes and just pulling them around and making everything move with like a record player and all of that sort of inventiveness. Even that sequence alone is just like, would a kid be able to figure this out? Probably not. But I love the idea of it. It is very like Tom and Jerry kind of like Looney Tunes level. Just like, yeah, we're just using shadow puppets to kind of like make it look like someone's in the house and dancing and stuff. It is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But how long do you think he was doing that?
Yeah, he has to be
Started
doing it
from
for like.
6, and he was like, I hope
For
they show up
literally,
soon.
yeah,
And then he
half
knows
an hour,
exactly
at
when
least.
they leave. As soon as they leave, he's like, well, thank fuck for that. And it's like, how did you do that?
Yeah,
How
that
did
is.
you know?
I mean, like, to be honest, setting that situation up was like a miracle in itself, because I don't know how many people have large cutouts of Michael Jordan in his Bulls uniform. I mean, do you guys have a large cutout of Michael Jordan in the Bulls uniform? I mean,
Simon,
like,
it was the 90s. Everybody had one.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess that's true.
I'm sure Pat had one.
that was a really rich family. That seems like something a rich kid would have.
Yeah, just the Michael Jordan in your basement. Yeah.
I
Yeah, but the
question
mannequins,
mannequins
anyway,
more than
that's
that.
more unrealistic than the Jordan cutout. Who would have a mannequin?
Robert's tried to steal his
Really?
house. Took that personally.
Who would have 2 mannequins?
Yeah.
That was full of a lot of odds and ends.
Yeah, so that part alone is like, yeah, fair enough, forget that. But like, I could imagine like Kevin like putting the water on the steps, freezing up. That's quite ingenious, but believable. And the other things of inside the house, using like heating up the doorknob. But the trouble is, you'd have to heat it up to such an insane level of heat for it to even get that level of temperature from the outside. So I don't know what the hell he used to kind of get to that heat. I
It's
suppose
all
that's
right.
What
It's all right
was
because
that?
Joe Pesci is going to grip it as hard as he can for
yeah.
as long as he can. You know, like how you usually do with hot things. You just
Yeah.
hold on to it for as long as possible. Yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
a very good point. There's that. That's like our reflexes for pulling away something. It's something
Yeah.
that happens even before it reaches our brain. It's like in our spine or something. It's like instant retraction. Yeah.
It's like 0.5 seconds.
I heard
Do
that
you mean
it's
to tell
like
me
actual
that
a
when your head's
legitimate
on
reason for
fire-
that though, because
What?
something is the way, because something about how your muscles constrict around things, kind of like how certain like how people get electric shocks and the muscle constricts around it. So that's the reason why, like, because he slipped on his head quite a few times, he's a bit concussed. so his
Oh.
reactions are a bit delayed. So like the muscles constricted around the handle where he held it a bit longer. That's the theory I've been told, at least. I was like, I mean, that kind of makes sense, but like, unless you're like a fireman or someone who knows that stuff, I don't fully trust you on the internet. So I was like, it might be a thing.
Do you think
In
that's
this
why
show,
when his head's being set on fire, he just stands there and lets it happen for?
I mean, that's a whole other thing, right? I've like, I fully expected his head to explode, but that's again wrong movie.
Well, the fact he gets literally scalped, that was the horrible thing. The amount of pain he'd go through, but literally all his hair gets singed off, and he's just got the bare scalp left. And that looks like the most mean, horrible wound you could possibly have. And I can't imagine how painful that is. Because that's like third-degree burns on your head. You're never going to get hair growing there again, ever.
But the hat would have melted, I imagine, if it, depending on what it was made out of. But yeah,
He looks like Anakin.
Yeah, of all the booby traps, like some really there was a couple that I didn't see the logic in very well. Like it was really a stretch how they managed to work. But the one that I thought was pretty good, obviously above 8-year-old child level maybe, but I think it might have actually worked, where like he opens the door and immediately like it helps that it was clear, you know, that like that plastic wrap with the glue on it, and then he immediately comes into it, and then so yeah, he's distracted, he doesn't have much good vision right at that point, and so he's like pulling it off and walking at the same time, which probably wasn't a very good idea. But then the walking trips off that fan, which I thought was pretty clever. It had the pencil stuck into the fan so that it wouldn't go until the pencil was pulled, right, from the walking into the rope. I thought that was pretty good. I could see that working. Yeah. But the couple that...
I mean, there was a ton of stuff.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was saying there's a ton of stuff that was smart, but yeah, carry on.
Okay. The couple that bothered me was and the one that made me cringe the most was him stepping onto the nail. That was horrible. That was awful. And he had all
that's
that.
That's just in my mind, rent free.
Yeah, it's a bit.
Oh, it was awful. But yeah, so like the couple that bothered me the most were like when Marv comes into the window and he steps on those ornaments. Like Kevin was Kevin planning on him having bare feet coming into? Like I think that's next level planning for that to work out.
Also,
and the
way he just puts both feet straight down as hard as he can after he's just stepped on a nail, and I was like, I don't know. I know he's the stupid one, but fucking hell. What?
You'd be surprised how hard-footed people are.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I feel like it's also because they all started this like the booby trap stuff kind of concussed, especially with Marv, where the trap in the basement where he pulls the light and he thinks it's the light switch, and that hot iron hits his face. I'm like, you know what? I kind of understood the logic behind it, because obviously it's dark and you go turn the lights, yank, smashes his face. It's like, okay, that's actually quite believable. The nail part is, and the ornament part, it goes, oh yeah, that's quite like, you must have like some extreme foresight for that. So it's like, oh no, it's like there's bits and bobs. It's like, but definitely the fire one is definitely the worst booby trap. I don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because that could get him right in the face, not just the top of his head.
It mostly bothered me how long he stood there yelling. That was just...
Yeah, that was a very like proper itchy and scratchy moment. It was like, and it's like literally 10 seconds of him going, and it's like literally you're not going to duck or just cover your head or just get out of the way. You're just going.
Yeah, with the more you guys talk about it, the more I think with how dangerous those booby traps were, in real life, if that had happened or something like that happened, you could end up with a situation where the parents have come back home. The police have arrested both the both the criminals who might not still be alive or might be half alive, and
was
the
gonna
kid
say-
has and they've arrested the kid as well because
Yeah,
the kid has done like
The police come in and they just see
Attempted
these
murder.
two dead blokes, and they're like, "Oh God!"
yeah, the kid's like they were trying to rob the place. And the one's like groaning.
Kevin,
He's
no,
got like
you-
1st-degree burns.
You've murdered two men.
Wait, no, but if they were in real life, if Kevin had actually accidentally killed them, he wouldn't be like. I think there's some like flexibility if like these people have come into your home to.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
bear in
yeah,
mind-
there's
don't
that. There's
think-
also,
yeah,
I
this
mean,
is
like, there's
America.
also 8.
This isn't this is United Kingdom. This isn't Canada. This is America, where self-defense in your own home is kind of a common thing. So I feel like
Well,
Kevin
I mean-
to get away with this.
I mean, like, it's that is also because he's a teenage. He's not even a teenager. Sorry, he's a kid. So he would not be like subject to like American laws about the justice system
Yeah,
because he's a
he's a
minor.
minor.
So it'll be like he's like, I killed someone,
What,
but I'm
what I-
only 8. And it's like,
What-
well, I mean, okay, we can't really arrest you. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean-
what I would say, sorry to interrupt. So on the one side, I don't think anything would really happen to him because there was so much evidence. Like he would be arrested but brought in mainly because he was alone. And there was no adults.
Yeah, he'd be brought into
Just
questioning.
Like-
Just questioning, that's it.
Yeah.
it's
So that
I was just going to say, in some
that's
American,
what?
even if you were to kill a trespasser, you won't be tried for murder because that's your right to defend your property or some stupid shit like that.
Yeah, that's the American law.
It depends.
Depends on the state, to be honest. But there is like
Yes.
I think it's called like castle laws. I can't remember castle doctrine. It's like something like that. But it's like it really depends on the state, to be honest.
Yeah, if like in Texas
Yeah.
this happened,
Oh.
yeah, he'd get away with this. If it happened in like New Jersey, maybe not. I don't know. It depends. right?
Also, also, even though again, nothing really happened to the kid. To be honest, they probably also charged the parents with neglect.
Yeah, they might charge
this.
Mr. Mystic McAllister for like manslaughter technically.
And don't forget, he comes from a rich
Yeah,
white family.
but-
A rich white family will be able to get away with this.
Fucking hell, Ben, Jesus Christ! It's just like, I mean, you're not like it's like you're not wrong, but like Jesus, you really laid it out, man. Fucking hell! I was like, oh Christ.
Oh man, there's that as well. What I would say though, you can obviously look up this kind of stuff. There have been unfortunate cases where young kids who have purposely actually killed
They set fire to
someone.
robbers.
Oh no.
Well, usually it's been more of a not a self-defense case. And some have been tried more similar to adults or more older to their age, even close to his age at like 10 or 11. And so it really does depend the circumstances around it, but he would be fine. So yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you mention that because what I referred to about like police kind of treating a rich neighborhood differently is from I just watched the Menendez brothers on Netflix, and that was part of the like the reason why they didn't get caught so early on is because their hands weren't even checked for like gun residue. You know, like they were the ones like on the scene and they weren't even checked by the police. They were kind of just treated as like, you know, victims basically. So
Mm.
I think the biggest crime really is the fact that Kevin sets it all up in an hour.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
The bell's going. The bell in the church is going. This chimes 8 times, and then by 9 o'clock he's done it all. And I was like,
Yeah.
bullshit.
this is the first time that I counted the bells because I realized that was a
Yeah.
clue. Yeah.
And he doesn't get
He
to
had-
finish his dinner at 9 o'clock.
He had so much time, and he decided to piss about with Santa and go to church. And I'm like, you this is going to take a while to set up here.
Did
You can't do this in an hour.
Like
Then he cleans it all up.
When did he
Yeah, that's a
decide?
good point.
Like when did he? Did he decide in the church that he was going to do all that? Like
Maybe he decided to do it before the church.
No.
think
He
he's-
got the motivation from
he's-
talking to the old man to
No, that's what I-
protect his house.
Yeah, that's why it kind of needs one extra day. I think that one extra day would have helped. I know that there'll still be a lot of problems either way, but
I'm okay if he set them all up. If he set everything up already, but then he can fuck about. But yeah, the idea he gets all that done in an hour, and also
Yeah.
cleans it up like that night as well. Like, there's so much shit.
You know, I mean, actually, I feel like, yeah, the setting up stuff, you could probably, like, you could argue because he's got so much energy, he could, like, being like, he just makes up on the fly, it could be one thing. But to clean up, set up, like, stockings and make the house look quite nice for an 8-year-old is, like, it's an impossible task. So it's like, I don't know.
yeah, I will say there was only one thing he didn't do is that he didn't fix his brother's room up. Because his brother yells out in like despair when he goes inside. So I can imagine that's the only thing he did leave. But you're right, like the lounge, like the hall, the upstairs, all that bit, and all the bits where the Wet Bandits went in, he has to have cleaned up, at least from the outset.
Didn't he leave the spider case as well?
The staircase?
So they,
we
you're
never
back.
find out where the spider ends up. Yeah, the tarantula.
oh
and
yeah, I forgot about that
I'm just
spider.
thinking now. Do you
Yeah.
figure he probably left Buzz's room wrecked on purpose because he cleaned
Oh
up
yeah, I
everything
reckon
else?
that 100%.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Out the door, he
Mm.
Yeah, there's just a walking tarantula in the house.
Mm.
Okay.
Ah.
Rob wouldn't go back
Yep.
to their house.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure he just leaves. But yeah, as you guys said, he's probably left Buzz's room like a total mess.
Yeah,
Checking
because
his
he was the
cupboard.
one who, like- But yeah, to kind of like not just tidy up, but replace everything that was broken. There's another thing that's kind of like a very kind of like
You know-
stretching logic.
Mhm. Big time.
You know
Big
what I
time.
think that they should have done for the ending?
Hmm.
They should have had it so that when all the family come back, they all slip on the icy stairs again. Everyone gets
That's a good one.
Yeah, it should have happened in the-
Holy shit, that would have been wow. Actually, yeah, that's actually really good. It's actually really fucking smart. That's really fucking funny.
Oh.
Something about it that would have been
That's-
perfect.
That's a good point because it's kind of like you are kind of like you get this great emotional bit where Catherine O'Hara's the mother comes back and meets Kevin, and then just in the flash the family's there, and it's kind of like also let's just kind of as Alec would say, contrivance that they happen to arrive minutes later, and it's kind of one of those things. It's like, were they really? I know you'd say that. The time it took her to cross the country in John Candy's car, it would have took them like less time in the plane, but at the same time they happened to like arrive so close to each other. It's just mental. But it could have been great, nice emotional bit inside the house. Catherine O'Hara came, and then you get the bit when here's something outside, and they go outside, and then you see the family rush up, and then the dad comes in, and then they slip over the ice on the steps. That would have been a great kind of like finale. It was like, what the fuck was going on? And yeah, you get that funny, like humorous bit, but the emotional connection still. But I think that would have worked better. But at the same time, it still doesn't explain how they got there so dumb. But it's one of those thing, movie logic, where you have to like kind of like separate fact a bit and just assume that a passage of time has happened, and yeah, the family eventually gets. So yeah. So.
Well, she didn't do all her traveling in one shot, right? She listed off like 3 different cities she ended up being in, I think it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So
But would they all arrive minutes with each other?
Well, why not though? I don't.
Yeah, I guess it's just the fairy tale aspect of the kid part. Maybe it's just you have to be like, oh, in his mind, everyone arrived at the same time. I suppose that's how I'd imagine it to work. You kind of have to be like, when you're a kid, you kind of like, all this craziness is happening so quickly, and it's so all at once, and then you just like, oh crap, yeah, Mum's back. Oh, the rest of the family's back. So you just have to kind of like think of it in Kevin's point of view. Like, yeah, everything's all worked out brilliantly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like the question is, are we questioning like how long it took the mom to get to the house?
No, it's just how they arrived at the same time, not the time.
I mean, it's a big coincidence, but it's possible. I figure. I don't know.
I guess it's just movie logic.
Yeah. But that is hilarious. I think that was a really big missed opportunity, because you could have had, with the whole icy stare thing, you could have had it where it that whole like emotional, serious, like anticipation of the mom coming up to the front of the house and then her slipping on the stairs. That would have been like hilarious.
Yeah.
It'd be great to see Buzz slip on the stairs. That'd be even better.
Yes. Uncle Frank on the stairs.
Yeah, you could have like a lead up to it, like the mom, like Catherine Howard, slips on the stairs but steadies herself and doesn't fall, and then the dad comes in, almost falls but sort of rights himself, and then Buzz comes in and it just flies on his ass.
I love the idea of Frank going up the stairs and then slipping and then breaking his back, and then in Home Alone 2 he's in like this big like Stephen.
Oh yeah, even better. Frank is just like literally like a potato.
Speaking about the end, there was like, so throughout the whole movie, okay, first Kevin thinks that he like actually wished away his family. And then he starts to miss his family and he feels bad about himself for wishing them away, I think it was. And then, so he's really missing them and hoping they'll come back. And then when his mom comes in, at first he's really excited, right? I think this is how it goes. And then he stops and he like looks at her kind of weird, like, like with a confused face or like a kind of sad face. And I don't know what's going through his mind when that happens. Like, why does he pause like that and just look at her?
Because he made the wish to Santa Claus, and he wasn't sure if Santa Claus made his wish come true. And I would imagine that's like very disappointing for an 8-year-old. And then afterwards, he was like, "Oh, they didn't come back." Then they came back, and I was like, "Oh, you actually did come back. Santa Claus did make my wish come true." So it's like, it's kind of one of those, like, I think it's definitely, as you guys were saying, perspective of an 8-year-old sort of thing. It's kind of like, oh no, Santa Claus didn't help me out. Oh wait, no, he did. Oh no, it's like, oh wait, no, don't worry, Santa, we're all good. So that's how I saw it, definitely. And it's just like,
I know what you're talking about, but the face that I'm talking about is when he sees his mom there and they're just staring at each other, and he's kind of just like looking at her with like a confused face.
I've got. Let me check. I've got it like loaded up on my thing. Wait a second. Let me have a quick peek. Because
when you said confused face,
kind of just like it's. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
I think I know what you mean.
It's not a happy, excited face. It's like, and they're both, and I think, and the mom is looking at his face, and then she's like, she's losing her happiness and excitement because she's feeling bad about herself, and so then she apologizes to him.
Oh right, yeah, I'm seeing it now. I see it now. I think he wanted to ask why did you leave me, but then he realized. Remember, you know what it is? I think it's because at the beginning of the movie, he thought he made the family disappear, so he thought it was his own doing. So it wasn't. I guess it was like you kind of see the gears turning in his head. Well, I don't know if that's actually. I think that's because he like acting. So I don't know if that's really like what it is. But I would say it's like there's a pause because he made them disappear and Santa Claus brought them back. So there's like. There's a pause there. I don't know what it is for. I see what you're saying, Corey. I just can't fully explain it on the child actor's face. So it's like all those things. It's like So it's like I would just say it's like seeing a Christmas miracle happening. That's about it. That's the best way. You got me. That's what I got. It's Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, I still can't figure it out.
Odd face. I'm like, just looking at his face down on the camera. So I was like,
You want to do favourite scenes? Who's not said a lot?
Oh, actually, I'll quickly go because it's odd as a favorite scene, but like very understandable. My favorite scene is not exactly this movie; it's the movie that's within this movie.
Oh.
It's the angels with filthy souls. I just can't. Something about that. I always wondered, man, what sort of film is it that he's watching, and why can't I ever find it? It's not an actual real film. It's a film that they just made for this particular this film and the sequel. And it was like, that's hilarious. And it's just like the name of the film is called Angels with Filthy Souls, and it's just like, oh, that's no wonder I couldn't find this film. It doesn't exist. But something about it being like, I'm gonna count to 10. 1, 2, 10. Keep the change, you filthy animal. Just keep the change, you filthy animal. Just that line is so memorable. I just can't. It's stuck with me for the longest time because of like how goddamn dramatic it is, and it's like, yeah, I feel like I've still said it sometimes. It's like keep the change, you filthy animal. It's like so dismissive, but it's so fucking good. And while that's playing, is Kevin is sort of eating that fucking like massive tub of like ice that sundae with like the marshmallows and the melted chocolate and everything else, and he's just eating it. And it's like, yeah, I'm watching filth and I'm eating junk food. Someone stop me! And he's like, no one can stop me. And it's such a good scene because it just shows you like just how he is, and it's just perfect because it's so over the top. Yeah, that scene's perfect.
I felt so sorry for him when he screamed for his mom and she wasn't there. I felt bad for him.
Yeah, because he wasn't allowed to. He's 8 and he's not supposed to watch something. Watch a guy get shot with a Tommy gun. And he's just like, I don't think that's age appropriate. That's what makes it funnier, I guess.
But even though, like, think about it, he's like a kid in the 90s watching an old film noir. That's quite highbrow for a kid of that era. So it's kind of like, yeah, he's watching some good stuff. It's not like he's watching some like really like cheap TV of the 90s that had them think. But he's watching some old school 1930s gangster stuff. It's like, oh, so it's kind of like, this is the stuff his dad was watching and his mum didn't want him to watch because his dad was like, yeah, this is too dark and violent for kids. But so there's a lot of like. There's a lot of hidden backstory there. Is like why he's watching something as adult as this, and why he loves it. So it's really quite clever because it isn't just the usual stuff you'd see on TV in the 90s. So it's great, and it's great how well they did the recreation, convince literally everyone that this was a real movie when it wasn't. So because it was how well it was shot and how well it was acted, just makes it seem like it was an old film that is. So yeah, they did a great job, just
I
making
think
it
it,
convincing.
yeah, I think it was referred to in the very beginning of the movie, right? Like, Kevin's complaining to his parents that Uncle Frank won't let him watch something. Um, and then they say if it's so bad that Uncle Frank thinks it's bad, that's probably pretty bad.
Oh, that's an interesting point. Yeah, that's a good point because Frank would be the right generation
True.
to have grown up with films like that, so it would track out.
I was surprised he did call for his mum though, because I feel like he'd be like, "Mum," and she'd be like, "Fuck off, Kevin, I hate you."
uh,
Oh man.
Miss McClavity.
Who's that?
My favourite scene was the mac and cheese. I like that he says grace before he's eating it, and obviously thanks the people that put it on sale. And he's got the big glass of milk at the table. It's sad he doesn't get to eat it, but I did like the build up and the ceremonial start to dinner times. That's my favourite scene.
Nice.
That was cool. I think my favorite is when the old man. It's probably two of them, two scenes. They're both with the old man. So when the old man, the moment he saves him, just to be glad some other adult is actually aware of his situation and that is actually protecting him. Finally, something has happened like this is at this point in the film. And the other kind of scene I like is when the old man and the kid are talking, and he's like, "You're still scared? You're still scared of that?" He said, "You're too old to be afraid or whatnot, to be scared." And it's a good conversation about like you just sometimes there's certain things you just gotta face so that you don't have the regrets because at least you tried. If you don't try, then could just keep worrying. It's like, oh, this is cool. I mean, sometimes kids come out with stuff like that. So, but yeah, that was a cool scene, and you see the payoff when at the end where the old guy sees his son's family. As a side note, ironically, as soon as that moment happened, the quality on my on the video really dropped to like pixels. So I couldn't actually see who it was. And I was just like, I assume that's the old guy. And Camilla's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. The quality's getting a bit better. I can see him now. I was just like, who is this? There's just pixels of people like coming together. Um, but yeah, and Lee. Mm, ooh, is there? I was gonna say the least favorite scene, but I want to hear as afterwards. I might have missed it. Your problems with the end, Corey.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I did. My problem with the end is just my confusion over why Kevin paused like that when I
Okay.
and it gave a good opportunity for the mom to be like to kind of like apologize, but I don't understand the motivation for Kevin to have that face when I don't know why he wasn't just like purely happy, excited. And I guess it's just kind of just like I feel like it was kind of thrown in there to give the mom an opportunity to feel bad and apologize. But I don't
Mm.
understand why Kevin himself would feel like that. So that
I
was
feel
my
like
problem.
I feel like it's because they don't part on like the last time they saw each other was like they were arguing. So I feel like there's like kind of an unspoken kind of thing of like glad to see you. However, like we got some shit to talk about. And then she says,
Yeah,
like,
so-
Kevin, I'm sorry. And he's like, there we go. I think it's something that really, really bothers me, though, where she goes, Kevin, I'm so sorry. And she's apologising for leaving him behind. But it's nothing to do with everything, like, preceding that. It was never just like babe, I'm really, really sorry. I got, yeah, I just kind of, I didn't even like really acknowledge Buzz's part in that. Like, you didn't handle your anger very well, but like, yeah, Buzz was really out of order. I don't know how he ate a whole cheese pizza in actual like 2 seconds flat, but like, the
Well,
kid's a mutant.
okay. For the cheese pizza, I think maybe Buzz like finished the last pieces, but there's a chance that other people had some of the cheese pizza before Buzz too. And with the whole like bad parenting angle, like from our point of view, like that's where it gets kind of hazy to me. Is just like maybe a lot of what we were seeing is from Kevin's perspective, and like maybe their parenting wasn't all that bad. It's just how he viewed it, like how everything was unfair to him. I'm a little bit. I think the movie could have done a better job of like, okay, are we seeing things from Kevin's skewed perspective, or are we seeing things as like as they really are? So I do get that there's just some like ambiguity there. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's, I don't know. I think I'd just kind of like prefer it to be something that's dealt with, because like they all come back and go, "Hey, Kevin, you went shopping. Good go, mate. Gold star." And I think he should be like, "Fuck off." I don't know. Called me a fucking disease, you ginger prick. Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just all come back and go, like, and they're just pally with him, and I'm just kind of like, no, you guys all treated him fucking horribly. Like, whether that's just in his head or not, like, I think I'd like some thing of like, we're really sorry about like that night. Like, that was, yeah, what we went. None of us were great. But
This is kind of like treated better in the second one. I think in the second one there's a bit more responsibility put on Buzz. But he does get away. There is in families there is preferential treatment among children. It's just what happens, and it's like, yeah, it's not right, but I can understand it happening in a movie. In terms of my favorite scene, one of my favorite scenes, I might say more if nobody takes any more, the one that I have, but I think top of the line is when John Candy and the mom are talking on the way, and she's feeling really bad about herself, and they're trading stories about like being bad parents. And John Candy talks about the time where he accidentally left his kid in the funeral parlor.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
So that was a horrible story, and it was kind of comical in itself. But then she said, "Oh, I don't think we should talk about this." And then John Candy's like, "Yeah, you brought it up." So it was just like so perfectly done. It was just so funny to me. It was just John Candy being John Candy, basically. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised Rob hasn't brought up the line he says that is synonymous with me.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that actually. Where's my camera off? I didn't even realise my camera was. Yeah, no. So for context for Corey and maybe Simon, to be fair, there was this one night on PlayStation years ago where there was a few of us playing, and Pat got tongue-tied about something, and I was kind of like just sort of like quietly laughing about that, and then because I was laughing about Pat getting tongue-tied, he went to say these things happen, but he said this things happens, and that it's become a thing now. so it's just Pat's line is this things happens.
And now I just say it because it's my line, isn't it?
And I couldn't fucking believe that John Candy said it.
Considering Rob for years has been talking about the similarity between me and John Candy, and then this popped up.
It's great.
Nice. Do you also play poker? Oh, what's the name of the
poker.
band? Or what? Poker. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, poker. Yeah.
Polka, yeah.
Yeah, I said poker, didn't I? Yeah, polka. Polka. Yeah.
Trying to think of a favourite scene. I'm just gonna go the stuff at the end. So like, I think the whole crap in the house, and then like everything that happened there. It's all one thing for me. So I'm probably just gonna say that end bit. That's the bit I had the most fun with. So that I'll just stick with that one.
Nice. Another one of my favorite scenes is when we see Kevin going through the whole like adult hygiene routine, and he's like combing his hair, and he's got his towel on, and he's putting like antiperspirant on, and that was really cute, and he's like singing along to that Christmas song in the hairbrush or something, and like the whole slapping the face and screaming thing, that's obviously iconic, but is that because he was using aftershave and it was stinging his face?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually gave me like a false perception for years, because I remember the first time I used aftershave, I was like, right, I'm ready for this, and then I put it on and I was like, oh, it doesn't feel like shit.
So like is it only certain aftershaves that sting, or like did he? I wondered if like since he was doing the whole adult routine, like maybe he did actually shave his face.
Yeah,
like
it only stings when he shaves.
Yeah, I think he shaved or tried to shave.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's when it's like your skin is the most tender. Was when just after, because if you're just slapping it on, like no, not going to do anything. But if your like skin is sensitive, you're going to be like, that's when it's going to get you.
Well, like Rob, you put it on
so
after shaving? Did you put it on after shaving, Rob?
Oh no! The first time I tried to put it on, I would have been like 15, so it was before I was even like properly shaven. But I remember it being this big thing where I was like, oh man, like I'm ready to take this, and then it was just like, oh, it's just liquid. If you shave and then put it on, because like the pores are open and whatever, it stings. But it's.
Oh, you just reminded me of another scene I like.
Oh, okay. But can I quickly ask though, what is in aftershave? Like, why is it sting? Is it alcohol?
It's alcohol. Yeah, it's alcohol, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unless you have the one without alcohol. But yeah, usually it has alcohol, especially back then.
Mm.
So when Kevin goes shopping and he attempts to buy the toothbrush, and then he sees the what's it that he called him, Old Man Humphrey?
Yeah.
Without paying for it, and then he like the next scene is just him evading people trying to say, "Hey, give us our toothbrush back." That did make me laugh as well.
Yeah,
funny.
when he.
It's like, stop, thief! It's just got a toothbrush.
But it's the fact after what a $1 toothbrush.
Yeah, exactly.
But then he felt so bad about himself, like he's on his way home with, and he's like, "I'm a criminal."
First thing in the film.
Yeah, when the woman behind the counter was like, "Oh, is this was it like ADA approved or whatever?"
Yeah.
Like the length she was going to, I was like, man, you want to stick with her. This is the only person in this whole film who's giving you the time of day.
Yeah, that's true. There's so many points where it could have gone very differently, and some adult could have realized, oh wait, you're alone, or could have caught up to him and realized, oh, there's no parents at home. But through a comedy of errors and mishaps and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, not one person the whole time realizes, oh, this kid was alone.
I mean, like the
Like, even
the
the
lady
lady
at the
at the supermarket.
supermarket was kind of like wary of him, but he lied
Yeah,
so
but
like
she never.
gracefully.
But it wasn't. The thing is, like, she didn't even do. And yes, not everyone would, but she actually seemed like she was the type of person that would go either do one or two things. Oh, don't worry. Let me help you bring the bags to the car. Cause what parent is making their kid carry all this groceries to the? To be honest, that's kind of that doesn't seem quite right. You know what? Let me bring it to the car. Let me help you out. Don't worry. Or ask someone else. Hey, that he seemed a bit like, but can you watch? Nothing. It's just like, okay, I guess I will just ignore everything. That's warning bells going off in my head. And
I
that's
mean,
what
maybe
it seemed like on her face. But then,
I was gonna say it's because it was Christmas and there was like a rush of people, so it might have been like, you know what I mean? Like she could go out of her way, but like she's busy, I guess. But I was like, oh no, he seems.
she didn't seem that busy. It's like she didn't seem like I am sick of working at this place like a lot of people in retail. She
Okay,
seemed a
yeah,
bit
but
too
like,
happy actually.
but again, the fact that this is a movie and she was smiling while doing retail is a whole like lie in itself. So let's not go there in itself, right? It's during Christmas time.
She's basically at the stage first 3 years of me being at Smiths.
Yeah,
Not
I
the
mean, like,
not the last 5.
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just another one of those things. It's kind of like how I don't know if it was Alec or someone else or quite a few of you who were like the fact that, or maybe it was Ben, the fact that everyone out of his family is so mean. But it's like, yeah, like through his lens, maybe it's even worse. But even if it's exaggerated, there is no one really being nice or helping him out at all. Even if he's seeing he from his eyes, it's a bit meaner. It is a bit of a kind of caricature, kind of like, everyone's mean to him. He doesn't have any kind of allies at all. And then throughout the movie, yeah, all the adults are just like, whatever. Okay, cool. Like through that whole film, there's not one who goes, you know what? No, let me actually check because something don't seem right. It's just one of those things. It's just like, okay, this is a film and it is cartoonish. Okay, cool.
I'm actually not sure what I'd pick for a favourite scene. End of statement.
While you were thinking of one, Alec, Rachel, have you said your commentary on like the social kind of services part of all this kind of stuff?
What do you mean?
I might have heard you wrong, but it sounded like when you watched it with Rob, there was a part near the beginning you had to pause and get all the commentary out the way
Oh no, that was
about
Rob.
the kind
I
of
didn't
social
let Rob get
services
his
part.
commentary out of the way. I paused it because Rob was talking throughout the beginning of the
Oh.
film, giving his.
Oh,
Yeah, it was Rob.
I was just getting annoyed at the family. I'd say. They just really got me this time, man.
They are bastards.
sure.
Oh, did anybody know that?
Yeah, I think it's.
Oh.
Oh, go.
Okay. I had a little piece of trivia that I remembered, speaking of the family, is that Fuller, the little cousin, is Macaulay Culkin's brother.
Yeah.
I thought he was a Culkin.
Yeah,
When you can really see.
yeah. We had paused it for a moment because Camilla was like, "Oh, is that his brother?" I was like, "I think it is." And then I went into IMDb just to confirm. And I was like, "Yeah, it is. Yeah."
That must have been
And I was like,
such
"Oh
a.
yeah, I recognize his brother as a person."
I'd feel so weird about that.
Hmm?
Just kind of going like, okay, so your brother's going to be in a film. I'm like, yep, with you so far. It's just like we're also going to cast you. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's like as the just pissy bedwetter. You got to like just drink Pepsi with menace and go. It's like, yeah, go on then. Let's do it.
That was a good bit of action there. That's
Yeah.
a good scene. That Pepsi.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I was like, man, what a face. Cool.
Yeah, I think I don't know if like there might be another Culkin sibling, but that one of the brothers I've seen in a much older acting in something else too. So yeah, an acting family.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, because Kieran Culkin's he's around. He was in Succession. He was in Scott Pilgrim, and that's all I know.
Nice. Oh yeah, Scott Pilgrim.
Oh,
He's the best mate.
the movie I saw him in, it had Iggy in the title. That's all I can remember.
He's in a new film with Jesse Eisenberg in next month called A Real Pain. So yeah, he's still doing a lot of good stuff. It's supposed to be a really good film.
There was a point that Ben Affleck thought Jesse Eisenberg was a real pain.
Oh man.
Yeah, same with Andrew Garfield.
Oh, and Macaulay Culkin married somebody in a TV show that I never watched, but I think it might have been on like Disney or something like that.
Oh, right, yeah. His wife is Brenda Song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what TV show was that?
It's like, I could say Lizzie McGuire or something like, but I don't know. It's like one of those like.
Maybe Sweet Life of Zack and Cody?
Yes, I think that is actually it. Yeah, it's like I was gonna say something about a hotel, but I wasn't sure. But I was like, yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. I never watched it.
Yeah.
I don't think I watched any of those like Disney TV series.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
I watched a tiny bit, but I got kind of bored. The only one I liked really was iCarly, and me and my sister watched that.
I'll watch that as well. And Sweet Life, just because my brother watched them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's just I mean, like I know about it, and unfortunately, I know more worse stuff about it. Unfortunately, because of like the producers and stuff, and Nickelodeon, it's just it's some gross stuff. Yeah, I think they did a documentary about it, right? Where everyone came out and like talked about it, and they're like, yeah, it was horrendous conditions. It was so terrible production staff, guys.
Yeah.
It was a whole like manifesto of like shit that they had to talk about. I was like, wow, I didn't realize kids TV series were as bad as that was, but I was like, fucking hell.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's Dan Schneider.
Oh yeah, that is who it was, wasn't it? Yeah, with the feet stuff. Very creepy.
What I was gonna say with Pat, remember this line that from iCarly that I remember. The pain helps you learn. long story short, it's an episode where I think one of the uncles is trying to learn Japanese, and every time he gets it wrong, he gets electrocuted. And
I remember
it's
the
meant to be this,
I just don't remember the
huh?
line. I don't remember the line, but I remember
Oh,
it.
yeah, it was meant to be some like learning program thing. It's like the pain helps you learn. It's like,
Oh, wasn't that was in
like,
Ghostbusters, like the zapping when he was wrong about the guessing the cards, right?
shoot,
They nicked it from
it could have been a reference. Yeah, oh man. Except it was much better. It wasn't some um, trash of a guy doing it to some college uni students. It was some guy getting it done to himself. So much different.
Right, fellas, I have to leave. I was going to say bounce, and then I was like, no, I'm too white for that. But I will. Yeah, I'll catch you guys on the. Oh, I nearly said flippity flip. I can't be doing
on the
it.
flip side.
I'll see you guys next week.
See you next time, man.
Do we?
All right.
Yeah, see you later.
Take care.
Take care, man.
Love you.
Mhm.
I was gonna say you as well, but I was like, I don't think I will say that. All right. Who else hasn't done their favorite scenes?
I suppose I haven't. I'm trying to think because Emmanuel kind of mentioned one of mine actually, because it's like the scene in the church where Kevin has the one-to-one with Old Man Humphrey. I thought that was quite a poignant moment because it's kind of like they're kind of opening their hearts out to each other, and Kevin finally faces his fears, because it's the whole point of like I said before, the film is kind of like all about Kevin coming to terms with like with fear, but coming to terms with like the fear kids have around strangers, and he finally comes to terms with that. Yeah, this old man isn't the demon he thought he was or was presented to be, and he's just another lost soul like he is. And I thought that they had a lot of kinship in that moment, and that's when they kind of like realized that they have more in common than they realized. And yeah, it was just a really good, touching scene. So it's really great to see him come back and save the day with his shovel and save Kevin's ass. And then you get the little moment where he gets reunited with his family, which is an interesting point in the script. Is that John Hughes' original draft of the script did not have that part in it, and it was up to Christopher Columbus, the director, was like, we need one more scene with the old man just to kind of like put things into perspective and kind of like wrap things up and take things full circle and let him have the resolution. And he just thought that gave it the Christmas magic and like festive touch to it, where he gets reunited with the family. So I thought that was a really point, and even if it is a bit sentimental and cheesy, I felt it was really scene that kind of cements it as a proper Christmas film, in my opinion, just because that adds that kind of like reuniting of like family, learning from your mistakes and coming to terms with like stuff. So all these themes kind of get resolved in that moment. It was good to see Kevin just observing that, even if he wasn't like there. It was a good touch to have him watch from the window. So yeah, I like that moment.
I love that. I can't believe that was a that was an app. Like, wow, because that was one of the biggest emotional pulls I had for the whole movie. I cried during that. I thought that was just so lovely, because it had like that was a big heavy part of the movie, is like learning that the old man is like on his own, and as he had this like years long conflict with his son and can't even see his own granddaughter. I thought that was really poignant. And so yeah, when when we see that, you know, he took Kevin's advice and like called his son and it turned out well, like that was beautiful. It was lovely.
That's what's good about the church scene is why don't you just try? You never know unless you try. And it's basically, it's kind of like, it's a good point. And like, I haven't done it, and it's like, there we go. And it's like so many years of him not doing it because he's afraid of what the outcome would be. And it's a good life lesson for us all. It's just like, look, just face your fears, just try. The worst can happen is that, look,
It's a no.
yeah, it's just, but once you try, you know for certain. You just have to see for yourself.
Dude, try.
But, yes, yes, Pat. But like, I was just thinking, I can't try to imagine that the film without that ending now, because like it'll feel like it was incomplete without that ending. It's like I can't imagine they would not have that. It feels, it would feel like a very sudden stop before. If it didn't, it helps make it a Christmas movie. I was like, damn, they nearly didn't put that in.
Yeah, it's weird to think John Hughes would have done it, but he didn't. It wasn't in the original draft. But yeah, it all worked out in the end. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'm glad that scene was in because it does make it much more complete as a movie.
Mm-hmm. And Ben, you mentioned that he came in and hit them over the head with the shovel. That just clicked in with me is that it did all add up why he was able to come in and save the day. Then it's because he was out on the sidewalk using his shovel already. That's why he had the shovel.
Yeah, and that moment, I think some of you guys mentioned is that, well, why did he suddenly come in at that right moment? It was like he probably investigated the house because of the water running and stuff. It's just kind of like it was the home that was broken into first, and there was something odd about the place, and it's like he probably just realized because he's always going out to shovel his front yard every morning. Before he was like, hang on, why is that house a little bit something odd about it? I can hear water running. I can see that the lights aren't on anymore and stuff like that. You just investigate. It's one of those things that you could say, oh, why? How did he manage to go in at the right time when Kevin was in there with the wet bandits? Blah blah blah. But that's just movie logic. It still works in the grand scheme of like the 3-act structure of the story itself. It's good.
Did you say 3X structure?
3-act structure, yeah.
Act structure. Oh, okay.
Yeah, not eggs, no. There was no eggnogs in this film.
No, I thought like X, like, you know, the letter X.
Oh yeah, this is not sponsored by Elon Musk.
Ew.
Anyone else a favorite scene? So have we like went full circle?
Yeah, I think we've done everyone. I think.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody's gone, but a lot of good ones have been covered.
I was just looking over some of the trivia. It's quite nice. Or it's just little things like Joe Pesci. I'm not saying his name right.
I think it's
Joe
Pesci.
Pesci, yeah, that's right. I was like, I've heard it, but I can't remember it. But how he avoided Macaulay Culkin on set because he wanted Culkin to think he was mean, or how when he kind of runs into Catherine O'Hara, these like whenever he does like run into her, he still is just like, "Hey, mom, what's up?" kind of thing. He still like calls her mom. Just little things like, that's really nice. Or things where, yeah, how Joe Pesci, he usually swears in a lot of his roles, and will add on like swear words, like in like improv. But because he obviously can't swear in this, he kind of changed it so that he would mumble a lot and every time he was mumbling, that was like one of his ways of like trying to stop swearing. Because it just felt so automatic for him. But it worked out.
Yeah. It definitely came across as like filler for swearing. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And it kind of works in the kind of cartoonish, censor yourself kind of way.
Yeah, but maybe it was just mumbling swear words, so it's probably how he got away with it. So if he said it really quiet without it being picked up to the mic, he could have said pretty much, "Oh, you fucking, with like he could, you can't really hear it, but he probably was swearing, and it's like, yeah, that's how. If we turned up the mic, his mic up, it would have been 15 straight away. It's like, oh, it's too many F words, too many F bombs. Perfect.
True. That is a good point. It's cool how the line "you guys give up" or "are you thirsty for more" was improvised on this part.
Oh.
So that was cool.
Oh, good for
I don't know
him.
how. Yeah. I don't know how often I hear of like kids improvising, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Nice.
It also, I find it interesting that in the original kind of cut, or one of the original cuts, they had more scenes of the family in France, but the test audiences didn't care and wanted to get back to Kevin. So they cut some of those scenes out.
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, like, there's nothing really that could happen in France except for about them talking about Kevin or Uncle Frank being a dick. But it's like, there's nothing really that you could see. There's nothing you could really, like, it would just be them talking about Kevin. So it'll be like, it's the thing that you guys keep saying as well. It's like, show, don't tell. Don't say what they think could be happening. Like, just show you what's happening with Kevin. Is probably the easiest way. I mean, there's still the bits that they show with like Buzz going like, Kevin's gonna be fine. Nothing's gonna happen. Cut to everything is happening. But it's like there's no reason for them to have them talking to France. I remember. Sorry, I just spoiling a bit now. But like, I remember in Home Alone 2, they're miserable because they went to Florida. That's it, and they're miserable because it's raining there, and it's just showing you, wow, what a shit time they're having. And Kevin has the best time having the best time of his life. It's something. It's like that. It's that sharp juxtaposition of them going. Oh, shit, is this where we're staying? And Kevin's in the fucking like presidential suite going, nice. And it's just like, yeah, it's I think there's a balance. I think what they had for the first movie is actually probably good. If they added more, it would just have been fluff, I guess. So it'd be like, yeah, it wasn't really needed for fluff. Unless, I guess actually, I could check on the Disney Plus if there's like extra scene or like cut scenes or stuff, but like I don't think there would be because I don't think it would probably. Let me have a quick check. Actually, give me a second.
It just reminded me of.
I didn't.
Oh, sorry.
No, go.
Oh, okay, you just I don't know what reminded me about. Thinking of what the family is doing while they're in France. And that was my first reference of It's a Wonderful Life, is the French dubbed It's a Wonderful Life in Home Alone. And so to this day, whenever I watch It's a Wonderful Life, I remember exactly which scene they used in Home Alone.
That was funny. Seeing it in French. And I was like, oh yeah, they do have it in French. And the kids just watching it, it's just like, that's some interesting dub. That's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this, but in terms of the kind of cinematography, like while a lot of it I felt was decent and standard, one of the things I didn't realize is that in the beginning they do a lot of the shots more from, I guess, an adult's perspective or close to an adult's height, making them seem smaller and more helpless. And then, like more towards the end, they do a lot of the shots from below to help him seem taller and more confident. I was like, oh, it makes sense. Didn't think so.
Yeah. Cool.
Any
Yeah,
sort of
sorry.
like,
It's late, yeah.
and no, it's like any like final thoughts or ending statements, Corey? Like, how would you wrap this up nicely in a bow, just to send us off? Is like anything else you want to say, or just want to talk about?
It's good.
Yes, I mean yes. It's still fun for what it is.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It's hard to watch a movie like this that I grew up with, and really try to see it with a fresh critical eye. But I was able to I was able to see some things that make it like not as, it takes some of the enjoyment away from me as an adult. Just with the comedy style and the heavy child acting, but regardless, it just has that like solidified nostalgia for me, and there are some, like, a lot of really well done parts about it too, just like some of the emotional hits, and yeah, and then some of the production as well, and some acting too. So yeah, overall I still love it, and I still will watch it every year without fail. But yeah, I'm glad everyone had most people had something to enjoy about it, so good stuff. I guess I
Nice,
could,
thanks.
yeah, thanks everyone. I think I know who is next week's pick. Should I ask should I ask what their pick is for next week? Is it Rachel? Yeah? Did you want to tell us?
It is. I've picked the film called Her. So it's got Joaquin Phoenix in it. It is a film that I really like and enjoy. So you enjoy it too.
Oh wait, the Scarlett Johansson one as well.
Yeah,
right.
Just Scarlett Johansson.
She's an AI.
Yeah, just an AI voice. But yeah, that's my pick for the week.
Oh, what a good unexpected pick. Nice
That's
one.
been on my list
Interesting.
for years. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh man,
really?
wait, is it on Amazon or is it on
It's on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. You have to rent. Obviously, you have to rent it on both. I think. I don't know if it's on anywhere else.
If Alec asks, it's only on Apple TV.
You can pick whatever you want to.
I've heard a lot about this one, and it's.
Oh, you haven't watched it?
I've not actually watched it. I've heard quite good things about it. I was also I think there was a joke from one of the previous calls. We're talking about Scarlett Johansson being an sort of robotic mind thing, and we were thinking about. Are you talking about her? Or are you talking about the weird sci-fi film where she unlocks her brain? I was actually talking about Her, not the sci-fi film where she unlocks her brain. But it's quite obvious, so we got really easily confused because we got really confused because but you could that phrase was described. Yeah, you could describe both films where she's like a robotic voice. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There's an interesting one. I watched this. Oh, with Pat trying to talk.
Yeah, he was, but don't worry.
You're on mute.
Pat,
yeah.
it's very good.
Fuck's sake.
Oh man.
I really wanted a situation where Alec wanted to know what your film was, and someone said her, and he was like, "Yeah, what's your film?" It sounded funnier in my head.